parents should have thought about that before they crossed these borders illegally. Yeah, I know it's not
everybody else. Listen, everybody's entitled to an opinion and to voice it. So let me.
No, I'm not done. And then for you to further contemplate whether or not there are gubernatorial scholarships that you can afford someone who is not a lawful citizen is a slap in the face to the rest of us who are here legally and are citizens and are working to put our own kids through school, and you are contemplating using our tax dollars to subsidize someone who does not belong here.
Okay. For the moment. If you're done, I'm going to respond. So let me be very clear. I actually said to the young man, and maybe you didn't hear me, that I don't condone the actions of his parents. Having said that, this young man, by appearance, has probably lived in this country for 10 years. His primary language, I could tell from his speech, is that of English. We have a national policy where he will not ever be sent back to his country, and that's admitted to by those who support reform and those who don't support reform in Washington. And by the way, I think the reform issue on this has become highly politicized. Highly politicized. He's never going back to the country that his parents came from. And we're not going you had your chance. So he's not going back. And no national policy, and by the way, no national government over the last 20 years has actually sought out people like this young man to make them go. So then you have to look at this thing, right? So should we, and I'll put it very clearly, should we cut off our nose to spite our face or not? This young man's going to stay in this country. By his testimony, and I'll accept it for purposes, he's won awards. He may be a budding scientist. He may be a person who can contribute quite a bit to our economy in the future. Should we deny him? Should we deny ourselves the opportunity to benefit from his presence in our country? I believe that we should control who comes to our country. I've always said that should be something that we're in charge of, not someone else.
But by very virtue of not enforcing our laws, you are not taking charge of this, and you perpetuate the problem. You and I are never going to agree on this, Governor. You're soft like our federal government is soft, and it has to stop.
Well, apparently I'm soft. Apparently I'm soft like the president was when he came in, which was a Republican.
Thank you. The next, Governor Barbara is going to speak to you next, and then it's Carmen Sargent.
Good evening, Governor.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming here.
Sure.
I have a statement that I'd like to read.
Sure.
My name is Barbara Montgomery, and I live and I'm a registered voter in Norwalk. And I'm here this evening on behalf of and as a member of Access Connecticut, which is a grassroots organization of adoptees, birth parents, adoptive parents, and adoption professionals that are dedicated to restoring the right of Connecticut-born adults adopted as children to obtain their original birth certificate. I myself am a birth mother. I have a son, 48 years old. I would like to ask for your support of Race Bill number 5144, an act concerning access to birth certificates and parental health information for adopted persons. This bill currently pending is before the Public Health Committee. For those of you who are not familiar with the subject, it is important to understand that Connecticut adoptees had free access to their original birth certificates until 1975, when by amendment it was stripped from them retroactively. What we propose is simply a restoration of what was taken away in 1975. Several states, including Maine, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island, have passed legislation virtually identical to what we are proposing that would restore access. The time came for the adoptees of those states. We believe the time has come for Connecticut adoptees too. We hope you agree.
Sure. I will, I have to, I'm aware of the issue. I have to admit to you that I'm not expert on it at all, and I would be happy to meet with members of your group to hear more about the subject matter. As you properly have outlined, it is a legislative matter, but you've asked me to become involved, and I'm happy to meet with you at some time in the not distant future, but not necessarily tomorrow either. And somebody will give you a card, and we'll try to make that connection. But I don't want to stand here and pretend that I'm an expert on this issue. I'm not. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carmen, and followed by Dominic Kahn.
Hello, Mayor Malloy. My name is Carmen Sargent, and I'm here on behalf of 32BJ, the union that represents 4,500 workers here in Connecticut. Throughout his career, Governor Malloy has been championing working people and immigrants, and has always worked to make the American dream come true for those who are willing to work for it. In his last term, Governor Malloy worked to expand working rights in Connecticut, allowing for the same-day voter registration, and championed avoiding no-excuse absentee ballots. And he has done this at the time when there's so many people trying to suppress the votes of people of color, young people, senior citizens, making his commitment all the more vital. As the governor, he has made collective bargaining rights a centerpiece of his agenda, particularly for low-wage workers who are the most vulnerable to exploitation. He has taken political risks to stand up for what is right, but has held firm his convictions. Early this month, Governor Malloy unveiled his budget that takes into account the needs of working people and invests in the future of Connecticut education. We, 32BJ, are proud of this budget and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to assure everyone that I didn't know you were going to be here or say those things. As nice as you were, you probably just got me in trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Governor, is Dominic Cotton, and followed by Kathy Johnson.
Thank you for coming here today, Governor.
Sure.
I certainly appreciate the job that you're doing and the fact that you get a little rough sometimes in these rooms. So I certainly appreciate you coming here today. The issue I wanted to bring up with you is about brain injury.
Yeah.
And I want to bring your attention to something that works. The brain injury waiver has been in existence in Connecticut since 1999. I've worked on it. I've had the great fortune of being an advocate. I've run several programs, and I'm an individual provider right at the moment. And it's a program that I've seen miracles happen with people, and their lives change. We were very disappointed, I guess, back in September when we learned that there were massive changes coming to this program. And a lot of us didn't really understand what the impetus was for it and where these changes were coming from. We had a large forum up in the Legislative Office building. We put together a grassroots group, Connecticut Brain Injury Support Network, really to help fight and deal with these issues. I know a lot of people might not understand a lot of what we do and who we work with. And we've been working nonstop, essentially to figure out what's going on, because it seems like nobody in DSS wants to really talk to us. We have commented on their ABI Waiver 2 proposal. We've been up to your office and met with your Marco Jakin. And continually, the same things keep coming back to us. What we're really asking for is for people to listen. We know these services. We know how they work for people. And like I said, we've worked with this population for a long period of time. We know what works.
Sure.
But constantly, DSS doesn't really want to listen to what we have to say. And they keep trying to, I don't know, rechange their proposal. And their current proposal is to leave our program alone and to institute a second ABI waiver. And the issue that we have with that is they're going to cap off our waiver, and because of a lot of complicated issues, it's going to end up that we're going to end up in services that we don't want to be at. We want to take what works right now, works wonderfully, and we want to expand on it and enhance the services that are already there.
Sure. So again, thank you for being here, Mr. Cotton. I appreciate it. I have, as a result of some work that was done by other folks, I don't think you were part of the group that I've met with over the years, we have sought, you're talking about 50 waivers, if I remember correctly.
You're talking about the folks over at Demas?
No. I'm just saying there's about 50 waivers. A waiver is, there are federal rules that apply in a state under funding programs. And a state has the right to ask for exceptions, but the exceptions are numerically capped in most cases. Not all cases, but frequently are numerically capped, because it increases the expense for the federal government as well as the state government. I think in some cases just the federal government, some cases both. The number has been capped, I think, around 50 individuals for quite some time. I believe that's correct. If I'm wrong,
I think you're talking about a different
program. Okay.
I think you're talking about Katie Becker.
Okay.
No, this is acquired brain injury.
Okay. Then I apologize. So what I'll do is, I hear you. So I'm happy to take a look at it, and if they're not trying to address it in an appropriate fashion, then I'll try to correct the behaviors. On the other hand, I will say to you that I don't know whether everything you've said is correct and what you've said of the other folks. I'm happy to get somewhat involved in this issue and take a look at it. So I'm happy to take a look at it. So honestly.
No, thank you. I don't mind. Okay.